Are you planning your move to Portugal? Residency and citizenship solutions, handled legally, clearly, and professionally, from documentation to approvals, rely on relocation, guide you every step of the way. Rely on Relocation, your trusted partner in navigating Portugal's legal processes. Start with expert guidance. This is Justin West from Podcast Portugal. I'd like to extend a really, really warm welcome to Octávio Lourenço. He is the owner and founder of Ferox Surfboards. It's one of Algarve's most respected independent surfboard factories, and indeed in Portugal. Octávio is known for his long-standing support of local Algarvian surfers, and his commitment to handcrafted performance-driven surfboards is second to none. Octávio has, played a really key role in Portugal's grassroots surf culture, and at the moment he faces a little bit of a crisis he's had two fires actually, but this recent fire has completely destroyed the Ferox Surfboards factory. But we'll get to that story a little bit later. Octávio, big warm welcome to you.
Thank you, Justin. Welcome. Thank you for the welcome.
Yeah.
I'm trying to stick my phone here on the ground zero.
I can see. Yeah, it's actually probably the first time I'm going to record video footage from somebody's interview because the backdrop there is just completely crazy. But we'll get to that story, because it really is a little bit of a disaster. But I want to give the audience, because many people probably won't know, that a lot of our audience aren't surfers, so they don't really know much about the Algarvian surf culture. They also don't know much about what it takes to make a surfboard, and the fact, I always recommend clients I recommend other guys as well, other surfboard factories, if I feel like they sort of have a better relationship in that way. But one of the most important things, I had a partnership when I was in my 20s with a surfboard factory in the UK. It was called Fluid Juice Surfboards, and I used to work a lot with the customs and putting the first sort of surfboards up online on a website, which was really cool. And I always recommend to people that in this day and age where you just have tuna cans, you have mass production, you can get a surfboard custom made for you and much cheaper often than you would buy in a retail outlet. So, and you can develop that relationship with your local shaper, your surfboard shaper over 20 years of your surfing career, and you get your board so dialed in. And I think that is such a unique business perspective. It's so valuable, and I always shout about it. I always shout about it. So, if Ferox Surfboards has become really closely tied in sort of Algarve surf culture. Anyway, one of the first boards I had when I was in Portugal was a Ferox. I also Marty, a mutual friend of ours, also gave me a couple of his Ferox surfboards. How did the brand begin, and sort of what are the values that have guided the way you've supported local Algarvian surfers over the years? And you can mention their names, of course,
Yeah, okay. Well, first of all, the fact that your audience is not surfer, it's great, because I consider myself not a surfer.
Okay.
Well, I do surf, and I think it's when you're part of the cult and you call yourself a surfer, you're very much into the zone. You're just a surfer. As you know, my background, I studied art, so I'm an art student, and I became an artist, and that was my degree. I took my degree in art school, and also afterwards I did like a restoration degree. So I don't like to call myself a surfer, because surfer, they just think about surfing, and when you don't call yourself a surfer, you surf, you enjoy the surf. You might do longboard, you might glide, you might go and dive. So you have a different approach of surfing. So I think surfing is very narrow labyrinth that doesn't allow you to go many ways. So that's great that you have an audience that's not only surfer, but they are passionate about the water. So
Yeah,
that's my background. So
yeah.
if
It's
if you
interesting.
guys know, for example,
It's interesting you
yeah,
say that because often because I've been a surf coach for many years, and I steer away from surfing as a
yeah,
lifestyle
yeah,
brand, and I always say
I
to myself and my students, look, surfing is a sport in my vision, and I'm the
yeah,
coach of a sport. All the other
yeah,
stuff I'm not interested in, and you're similar
yeah,
in
yeah,
many ways, it's focused on the
yeah. Like always been in love with sports. So for me, it's the universal word language in between countries, and that's why I think Olympics it's amazing because you get people from different cultures, but they are trying to do and perform as best as they can what sport they are doing. So yeah, I always been in love with sports. I did like martial arts for
oh,
33
nice.
years. I still do it sometime. But I was always so focused in football. Everything that took me to sport was amazing. Of course, when you're a coach, so sometimes you're following, trying to understand the technique,
Mm,
trying to understand the performance, and that's a very transparent world where it's full of technique. And sometimes there are people that, as they are natural, the technique is there, and there are people that need to work a lot just to get that technique. But always, it's about work.
mm,
Um, with the surfing construction is pretty much the same. It's a very invisible world that allows you to make high performance surfboards, and they can be magical. Of course, if you gather everything together, you might have a magical board that suits really well the person, and that's the approach. So yeah, I'm always focused in that invisible world of the technique, the performance. Of course, is always about physics, and you're working with materials and tools, and that's the magical stuff that happens.
mm.
That's why when I had this fire, you lose tools that almost were like I've been working with those tools for 13 years,
Yeah.
and some tools were super magical because they did exactly what I want them to do, and I'm just now trying to replicate them.
Yeah. Is that in terms of
And
like
yeah,
plan shape guides and rail forms and stuff like that? I know when
yeah,
I've only shaped a few boards, but I used to use some sort of cardboard templates for rails profiles and plan. Yeah,
yeah,
very
of
old school.
course. The tools, of course, you can buy a tool. It's super easy to go into a store and buy those tools. But the
Mm.
tools that I knew I lost them, but I'm trying to, as fast as possible, to replicate them. Is the tools that I created. So those were the best
Uh,
tools. I just went to a factory to shape some boards because I need to continue. This is even though I'm here building, taking the building apart to
mm,
reconstruct. I need to go back to shaping. So I'm trying to go back to shaping, and what I'm trying to do right now is to replicate my old tools because
mm.
those were the magical ones.
Yeah.
And you can buy them online, but it's like I'm telling you, the ones I did were the best ones.
Yeah.
So I was very much in tune with them. So yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
nice.
But I'm
Yeah.
getting I'm getting far away from your question. So
No, it's
I
okay.
got into I
It's
got
often the
into the
way.
surfing. Okay, I got into the surfing world not by purpose. It was not a sport that, like I told you, I love to do the sports, and of course, then I was working on the beach and as a lifeguard, and I went to tie a surfboard outside the reefs so that we could push people into the beach when they get pushed by the reefs. And I catch the first wave that first time. That was my first contact with surfing, and I stand up, and I was super blown by the performance, by the feeling. And I was studying in Caldas da Rainha, which is like 30 minutes from Peniche, which is a mecca of surfing in Portugal. And I learned to surf in super tubes. And with a friend of mine that was a really good bodyboarder, and I can tell you that I was in love, but at the same time, I had a love-hate approach with super tubes because it's a very powerful wave. It's not a wave that you should start learning surfing, but that's where I started to learn to surf. And yeah, but I
Yes.
was very much interested in the board and the performance of the board and everything. But like in those days, there was no internet. Everything was very tight and very close. The shapers won't tell
Mm,
secrets, and it was a struggle
yeah.
to learn. But yeah,
I've always said like that, surfing is I'm always amazed that people buy surfboards in a shop, or they buy them blindly online, because there is such a complicated mix of elements to a surfboard, and I think you can only arrive, you can accidentally arrive at something, a magic board, say. But I think often what it is, it's the repetition, fine adjustment, repetition, fine adjustment, and that actually follows the same pattern as surf coaching. It's repetition of action, refinement, repetition of action. And I say to all surf you sponsor Zoe, my little athlete from Switzerland, now the Swiss national champion for under 14s, and she's so happy with your surfboards. And I say to
hmm
her, like, you need to develop that language. You need to be like a Formula One racing driver. You need to understand the
yeah,
feeling of the surfboard and be able to communicate that with Octavio. And you're not always going
yeah,
to get the magic board all the time, but it's that gradual process, following your career, following the size changes. Like, she's grown a lot in this last year. As a teenager,
yeah,
she's going to develop more power in certain other aspects. And
yeah,
it's following that career path, and if you look at every single top surfing professional athlete, they all have one or two shapers that they've worked with from a very young age,
yeah,
and
yeah.
and they continue
I
to
mean,
do so.
well, like you already told, if you, for example, that's a nice experience. I used to work in my uncle's renting car, and sometimes you get like new cars, and this is just a and when you get like two new cars, even though they are built in an industrial way in the same process, sometimes you can feel that one car is different from the other, and they are built in the same factory, the same process, but probably the screws are not put the same way. It might be shifting something. So even though you're getting the same car, it feels different.
Mm,
So this has to do with the thing that you're talking about, that the mass production. And today we are victims of the marketing. And you
mhm,
go to the shop and you buy Kelly Slater design or a different brand that it's being built in Thailand with guys that probably they get like $5 a day. And it's but the marketing is so big that people think they're gonna surf better if they use that brand.
mm,
um, and but that's marketing. It's a business, and
yeah,
surfing is very much now related to that, the marketing. And you get people that don't understand nothing about surfing, and they believe what they see in the internet, and
yeah,
they read. And I have many customers that come to me, and they have a mindset that's super complicated to change, because they come with that mindset because they wrote it on the internet, and they believe that's the right thing that they should do. While local shapers, I don't believe all of them, but if they are professionals, and if they do a very professional job, for sure they have a very very close approach. But they are, in the end, they are human beings, and it's super complicated sometimes to change the idea of human beings when it comes with the mindset. And of course, shapers, good shaper, they need to know how to analyze the, like a coach. They need to analyze what's wrong, what they should work on. Probably it's not the solution, but it's the beginning of the approach of
mm,
correcting a mistake.
yeah.
um
It's
and
just,
and I mean, in surfboard building, it's pretty much the same thing. It's the same approach. And like, you could be a good surfer, but if you don't take care of your the food you put on your mouth, you're gonna not perform the same way. If you're sugar addicted, it's not gonna be an athlete. So you need to change your diet. So if you go to more performance, you need to have a different approach. And the more professional you need to be, like a super athlete. And you talked about Zoe. I believe Zoe is growing. Of course, she's a very interesting kid. And we still don't have those long conversations. I speak more to her father, and of course, I have many times I have to ask you as a coach if it's the right approach, because she's still a young kid, and sometimes they don't feel as natural as they should speaking, and that will come. That will come in
She's
with a long-term relation,
exactly.
and
She's
yeah,
developing that
yeah,
surfing feeling and understanding. It's the
yeah,
same with technique. It's the same way. You have to develop the language first. You have to find common descriptive words that you both understand that has the
exactly.
same meaning.
Yeah, yeah,
And then you move forward for that. It's developing a language. So, it's,
yeah. I had that with Alex Botelho, my
yeah,
top rider, and one of the guys that we are super friends, but we also are very professional.
yeah.
And the funniest thing, Alex sometimes is like describing, trying to make the description what the board is doing, and he sometimes describes that with sounds, and by the sound I
Yeah,
quite
yeah, yeah,
understand
yeah.
what he means.
Yeah.
And Alex has a very powerful carve. He loves the
Mm,
powerful carves, and he hates when he's doing a carve and suddenly the board
releases.
becomes it changes to a snap. He
Yeah.
hates that. He wants to continue the carve, but don't want the board in the end when you lose the speed to go to a snap. He wants to continue that curve and still create that momentum and that speed. So it's quite funny when he's like, "Oh, what's that?" It's very
Yeah.
funny, but I quite understand exactly what he's trying to mean. So,
Yeah. So I
and
think
I have to correct that.
I'd imagine kind of that would then be maybe why he says like would be answered by more of a swallowtail rather than a sort of squash tail, so you don't get that sudden directional change at the end of a carve. Would that be the right language?
Well, well, it's a lot of stuff because
Yeah,
you might have a
exactly.
swallowtail, but imagine if you have a very flat rocker. When you have a very curvature board that's very banana.
Hmm.
When you have a more banana board, the board becomes more. It generates more speed when you put on rail. So
Yeah.
the board it generates speed when you're doing rails. Imagine you're carving the board, but you can have a swallowtail. But if the board is too flat, it's
Mm.
gonna use the curvature of the wave and also the curvature of the rail to be adapted. But if it's flat, once it loses that speed, it will go to the flat zone. So then the board will slide like a snap,
Like a little
and
bit,
it
like
it
a little bit
loses
twin
it
finny kind
loses
of. Yeah.
it loses that curvature that you were doing.
Mm.
So of course the tail changes the way it projects the water. Everything in the board it changes dramatically. So yeah, but it's not only the tail. It's a lot of stuff.
That's it. It's
It's
so
even the
complicated. So many elements. So, you got the channels or the little bit of V off the tail, or
yeah.
we probably lost half the listeners here, like going, what are these guys talking about? So I'm gonna simple it down a little bit. So what we're talking about rocker and what Octavio described as the banana is basically when you look at the surfboard from the side as if it's sitting on the water, and you look at the tail and the nose. It's the curvature that comes from the tail through to the flat section, which is usually under where the front foot would be, and then the tail sort of flips up a little bit. We can also call that the tail kick or the tail rocker.
Yeah.
And then the plant shape is
But
when you look at it as if you were a bird flying over it, and that's the sort of the curvature from nose to tail of the sides. Um, Bottom contours, that's another thing. We have concave, and that's if you turn the surfboard upside down, you hold it at the tail and you look down towards the fins, which are the things that stick out at the bottom. You can see, or if you run up like a ruler or a flat surface down the bottom of the board, you'll see that the bottom of the surfboard is scooped out a little bit like a spoon, and then it goes from, most of the time it goes from like a single scoop to a slight double scoop to the fins, and then off the tail it'll actually reverse that and have a slight V, so it'll have like a little ridge off
well,
that's
that's a
basic.
single to a double, a
Yeah,
single to double to V. That's one of the options. You have like
yeah.
it can
And
be
then
a
every
spoon on the
variation.
opposite side.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have tons of like it can be instead of concave, it can be like convex, and That's the way we project, and actually, it's physics. So it kind of explores the Bernoulli's effect, where you just send the pressure of the water to where you want the board to have the pressure. So
that's like that
all
old
features of
experiment you did in school by holding a spoon to a faucet, to a tap, and you have the water running out, and you hold a spoon to it, and it sucks the water to one side rather than the other, like a little bit like airflow over an airplane
exactly.
wing as well, that gives
I,
lift.
I Yeah, I do all the time when I'm driving. I'm always sticking my hand and changing the shape of the hand
Yeah,
to see how it reacts to the wind.
that's
So
interesting. You could take some
that's that's
fin profiles and do the same thing in the car. Yeah.
yeah. Well, I do a lot of stuff. If I have like a swimming pool as well.
Hmm.
And when the water is being pushed towards inside the pool, I'm sticking my hand there and I'm changing the shapes of my hand, like doing concaves and spoon concaves, and then I do like V's with the rockers, and you can feel how the water pushes in on how it lifts it up, and that's physics. That's how the
Yeah,
boards are built, and that's where the ideas come, and you just conjugate stuff with the
yeah.
rails, the thickness of the rails, the way the bottom contours, to just adapt and everything. So it's everything about physics, and
Mm.
sometimes and you create like a magical conjugation, and that's when you create a model.
Yeah,
So yeah,
exactly. It's interesting because it is so technical. It's almost like the weather. It's so technical, and it's almost so many elements that are so complicated. Yet there is an artistic element as well, like the old guys that could smell the bad weather coming. There is that sort of
yeah, yeah,
feeling of an artistic feeling that you also can apply to the physics. It's almost like
yeah,
Leonardo
yeah.
da Vinci kind of thing, like you have to have
Well, it is.
that
Well,
double
it is.
mind,
It is.
that
Yeah,
two
yeah,
approach,
yeah.
and you can be
And
too.
sometimes you do everything, you follow the physics and you create everything with the right mindset, you use everything that's supposed to be done. And I have a very interesting story from the Japanese guys. I had a board called the Speedbuster. Somehow that board went to Japan and they tried it over there and they loved the board. But they contacted me because they tried everything to replicate. They did the best scannings of that board. They did everything because of the performance of the board. And they contacted me because they tried like 10 boards to do their replicas, and they were never able to replicate the performance of that board. And
Hmm.
they were asking me, how did I laminate it? And they were trying to figure out more stuff about the board and how it performed that way. And I would say, you will never know because it might be on the sole of the stringer. So I always say, when you put wood stringer on a blank, that wood stringer, you don't know if it's more into the center of the tree or more to the sides of the tree. So the more to the side, the more close cell the wood have.
Yeah,
So while more to the center it's where the fluids of the tree are pushed up. So the cellulose is a little bit more open, so the string is more flex,
yeah.
and that's one of the things that also can make a board be very magical. So that's why riders, they tend to have like, and today nowadays with technology, we have super high performance machines that create and replicate really well, but you never know. The laminator might be in a bad mood, and that bad mood
Or
might create a really magical
yeah,
board,
or it could be in the
or the
summer or
opposite.
winter, and the resins
Yeah,
cure it different.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
I've literally, I had a pretty couple of magic boards in my lifetime. At one point, I had 30 surfboards hanging in my loft, and I had a couple of really good ones at one point in time. And I said, okay, I just want a replication of that, and I never got the replication. It was impossible. Like it would be too heavy, or I felt like there's a little bit too much glass on that, or it's a little bit
Yeah,
stiff, or it was. But you're starting a path. You're starting a sort of path on the right way, and then sometimes you have to just like what I did after that magic board. I was like, okay, I'm going to try something completely different and go another
yeah,
completely
yeah.
different way, and surf a different way. And um yeah, it's really, really fascinating. And I think if you get really into surfing and you get into surfboards and the different feelings and that it gives you on a wave, I think um, it's a really beautiful journey. I mean, I made some Volan cloth
Yeah,
single
it
fin
is.
longboards with like 50/50 rails and diamond tails.
Yeah.
I've made sort of things like magic carpets that we had a guy, I can't remember his name. Kevin Connolly came over to he's an old Californian surfer from a long time ago, I think. And he came over to our factory in Cornwall. It was on an old airfield in an old air hangar, and it was freezing. And he came over from California. He was like, "How are you guys working here?" And he's like, "How the hell do you kill the resin?" And and he was like, "Oh my God, I cannot." And anyway, he created this thing called the Magic Carpet, which was like a sort of a longboard with the middle cut out of it, And actually, I made one of those and I surfed that, and I was like, okay, this is an interesting feeling. And then I started making a few twin fins. Magic saucers, which are like a surfboard, like in between. And it just, I guess in some ways, if you're a professional athlete, you almost have to stick, well, if you're a contest surfer, let's say, you have to stick to a similar format. But I noticed Alex Patelio, he surfs a lot of twin fins. I've seen him surfing. He surfs some interesting design.
He surfs everything. He can surf a door. He's a really good surfer. He's a natural one.
It's the beauty of not having to be a contest surfer, I guess, as well. Because I think there was a fear that you start surfing to the board as opposed to surfing to the competition, if you know what I mean. So there's a different way, way to surf all these types of boards, and as you can see with Alex, he likes to do some different things on the wave,
sadly, I burned one of his magic one when I got the fire. His magical board it burned and it completely disappeared. Yeah. And he was using the Top Secret, which is one of the models that they are more the boys that compete. They use that one, and he was like, "Hey, Octavio." Because Alex, I have to try to convince him. Sometimes he just wants to glide and surf with twin fins. And since the accident he had in Nazaré, he had a huge accident, and he was like, I want more boards just to have fun. I want to have fun on water. Yeah. He was not more interested in competing. But in the end, when I developed a model called the Falcat, which is the Iberic sword, I had to convince him to ride that board, and now I did a Top Secret because like since I sponsor, sometimes I surprise him with models, and he's like, "No, I don't want this kind of board. This is for kids, and they want to, give it a test, give it a try." And then he's like, "Oh, I love the board. I just want to ride it." Yeah. So we have a very funny relationship between sponsor and rider. Yeah. I'm always fighting to get boards for him. He's like, "No, I don't want more boards." Yeah. But that's Alex. He's super nice. He's a very nice human being and very humble guy. And
when did you make his first board? How old was Alex?
Well, I think it was a long time ago. I don't really. He remembers better than I. But I think it was in 2005 or 2006. I don't know, somewhere there. And it was a contest in Faro Beach, and he won that contest. And actually, his coach, Sergio was his coach at the time, and he came to me, "You want to sponsor a guy? There's a guy that's really good." And that's how I got to meet him. Actually, you already dropped in on me several times in Zavial. Because but he was always training with Sergio over there. But I got to meet him on that competition, and that's when we started conversation. And I remember giving him the first board. I'm being on the beach, and he was trying the board. It was still fixed fins. He was using fixed fins, and I was doing fixed fins for him. And that's the first time I gave him a board, and it was in Cordoama, and I was expecting his feedback outside the water. And, "What do you think?" And he was like, "I'll let you know in a few days." He's a really nice guy. Yeah. We always enjoy our company.
Sergio is an interesting character because, you and Sergio are almost fundamental, really. And there was a real wave of really good surfers that came out of the Algarve, sort of Alex Patelio generation, and they're still sort of hanging around now, lurking in the good spots in the Algarve. And there's the Guichard twins, there's the
Guichard twins, Marlon,
Melvin. I don't know if you sponsored Melvin as well, but also
Yeah, not
The
Melbourne.
Mazinhos, I think probably I've seen them riding one of your boards before.
Miguel Mozinho,
Yeah,
also Paulinho Almeida, which is also a surf coach right now in
yeah. In
Portimao.
Portimao, yeah, in Algarve.
Uh, yeah,
Yeah,
I
amazing.
think Sergio was one of the first ones, but I think he had a different approach, and that's why he was picking up the kids at home, and that was the
Yeah,
first time
he just went
that
for it.
happened around here, and
It's completely
it
crazy.
was
That guy's effort
yeah,
and mixed with your boards. You had some of the best surfers to come out of Portugal.
yeah,
It's incredible. It's just that dedication and that interest in it makes such a big difference. And it's not always easy to do. You have to keep the money rolling in, but also try to develop the sort of grassroots surfing as much as you can. There's always that
yeah.
balance, isn't it? Uh,
That's the hardest part, the balance in between both things, and sponsoring is never easy. Sometimes coaches, and this is not a critic, this is sometimes the coaches, they don't tend to teach a young kid what it means to be a sponsored, so
mm,
what represents to be sponsored, and sometimes you create like a relationship. The shaper is doing an effort to put the boards on the rider, but then he goes like and he tries different brands, and that's taking apart
yeah,
the job. And
yeah,
it's like, I always say, it's very much like making food. If you're making food for someone, and that someone is tasting the food, in the end he's gonna tell you, yeah, it's eatable.
yeah, yeah,
you know
yeah,
it 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 takes apart your energy, and I had that many times, and I was like, hey guys, I'm doing an effort so that I can find the right shape or the right board for you to take it to another level. And then again, you go and ride a different board, and sometimes it's not that the other brand is it's better or worse, but it's different, and my end is different from the other hand. I have a really nice relation with almost every brand in Portugal and outside of Portugal. I try to be very professional, and I think they are colleagues, so I see them as colleagues, and they have to be. I have to respect them, and I expect to be respected as well.
mm,
So every time I get someone that come by me and ask me for sponsorship, my first question is, "Are you being sponsored by anyone? Is that situation already solved? If it's not, then solve it first, and then you will come to me, and then you will ask me, and we will talk about sponsorship."
yeah,
So that's very important. But sometimes, and nowadays with social media and everything, people saying, "Oh, I need to be sponsored because I'm surfing and I have a lot of people that follows me." But that's not. I'm not interested in that.
mm,
Interested in that. I'm more interested in someone that's focused and it's humble and is trying to develop his surfing skill, and has that glow where you just look at the person, and the person has that natural education, because
mm,
I feel it's in our days that's rare,
yeah,
and
yeah,
it's more important to find someone that's very educated, dedicated, at the
yeah.
same time
Professional,
appreciates
yeah.
what yeah,
They
professional, yeah,
understand what it means to be a professional surfer, and it's evolved.
exactly,
It's evolved now, like you say, into you need to take care of your nutrition. You need to take
yeah,
care of your body physically in terms of outside of surfing alone,
yeah,
and your
yeah,
equipment. And you need to, and most importantly, in a lot of my perspective, I think it's. I always encourage surfers, professional surfers, that they need to take care of their sponsors. They need to create the right image. They need to
yeah,
not create the right image. They just need to make sure that they take their strengths and make sure
yeah.
that they're known, and make sure that they are professional. And yeah,
Yeah,
like you say, they don't just sort of
I've
take
seen many kids
advantage.
like Vasco Ribeiro, Frederico Moraes, Portuguese surfers. I've seen them. I followed them. We surfed together and many times when they were like young kids,
Yeah.
and you see there are many kids that are already on that pedestal where you can see straight away they're going to be professionals. And you train some of mine, and there are kids that don't, they have the surfing but they don't have the right mindset, and
Mm.
not having the right mindset, it won't take you there.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
it's
Exactly.
it's super important to have the whole thing. Not
Yeah.
only, it's like I'm telling you, if someone comes to me and it's like, hey, I want to be a free surfer, but I want to be more into art way and surf your boards, and that's very interesting. If he presents in a good way, a nice, interesting project, that's so much better than say, hey, I'm gonna give you international visibility, and I'm gonna have like a lot of people following me, and that for me, it's nonsense. It
Yeah.
doesn't work.
Yeah.
It
Nice.
doesn't work.
Nice. So let's, Octavio, I think like in 3 minutes we might cut off from the Zoom, but if we do, I'll send another link and we can continue if you have time.
Yeah,
Because
of course.
I wanted to start talking about. So I first heard about the first fire. So I saw that you had a fire, and then I was like, oh no, that's a nightmare. And then everything seemed to be okay, and then I started seeing
Well,
pictures of your whole factory burnt down. I was like, was this the fire that I saw earlier, or is this another fire? And this is
well,
the
yeah.
thing. Your basically your factory is completely burnt down, and anybody that knows sort
Yeah,
of
yeah.
surfboard
Everything,
materials, it's
everything.
can be
I
volatile.
lost literally everything.
Yeah, as people can
Well,
see
yeah,
behind you.
yeah, you can see the roof, and
Yeah.
it's raining a little bit right here.
Did you have
So
like
anyway,
computer files of people's designs and stuff like that, or did you have
well,
them?
I have, but I'm a very disciplined guy, so I have a lot of backups.
Okay,
So
okay.
even that day that it got burned, actually, I was
You
surfing
ran in.
in Villamora,
Yeah.
and I got some really nice barrels, and I was commenting, oh, I did more barrels in 2006 than I did in 2025.
Yeah.
But anyway, I came and was talking to Miale. You probably know Miale.
Yeah, yeah.
Miale was talking to me about the board he's running in Madeira, and he was like, "Hey, that one is magic." And I said, "Okay, as soon as I get to the factory, I'll do a backup and I'll bring it to my computer at home, and I'll save it." And I came to the factory, and I did the backup. So that day I did it
Nice.
because normally in December, since it's the end of the year, I start doing backups in the beginning of the month, in the middle of the month, in the end of the month. So I always have a lot of backups. So
Yeah.
all the files are in backups. Of course, there are two pens that were ruined by the fire, but I still have a third one.
Yeah.
But I have the computer near the CNC machine, which is safe because it's a different warehouse. Because if this happens, I didn't want the CNC to burn.
Yeah. Yeah.
And also I have at my home my backup computer where I work on shapes.
Yeah.
So the files are safe.
Just for the listeners' sake who don't surf and don't really know anything about surfboards, like Octavio is talking about a CNC router machine, which basically sort of roughs out the surfboard on a blank. You've been hearing us talk about blanks. Blanks are basically like the foam, expandable foam kind of thing that's formed in a mold with a wooden stringer. We talked about string. It can also be plywood, can also be different types of materials like carbon fiber. And then that blank is sort of roughed out with the computer design, CAD or other systems, and then Octavio will come over and do the finishing with the sand or with different tools and machines that he was talking about to get the perfect finish. Planning a trip to Portugal, whether you're exploring Lisbon, surfing in Ediceto, or road tripping through the Alentejo, staying connected is essential. I use Airolo every time I travel, even on some surfboat trips, adventures to the Maldives. So when we connected to collaborate, I was really genuinely happy. Airolo's eSIMs give you instant data the moment you land in a foreign country. No queues, no physical SIM cards, just seamless, reliable coverage. Travel smarter, stay connected, download Airolo before your next adventure. Follow this link in the show notes to get connected today. A device machine is quite a new thing relatively new in surfboard making anyway, and it takes a lot of the sort of initial roughing out of the surfboard to sort of make it a little bit less time consuming for the artist, for the shaper, for the technician to just finish off and get the shape based on the computer shape. Octavio. So that's the whole fire thing. It's just it's just a major shock, and it sent ripples through all of the surfing community in Portugal. And I've read a lot of the messages to you, and you can just see how much support there is out there in the surfing community. It's been very strong, particularly on social media. Sort of, what has that meant to you?
Well, it means a lot because, like I'm telling you, I with this 20-minute fire, I lost 30 years of work, and it means a lot. I know it. Well, it's hard. Life is hard, Justin. Everything. Well, it's not hard for everyone, but it's hard, and we have to keep going. And I mean, I'm not able to ask anything for people, but I'm very grateful for what's happening in all the there's a crowdfunding that Alex Botelho created, and
Wow.
and it helps me a lot because I have to rebuild the building. I have to the actually right now I'm here what I call the ground zero because it looks like the ground zero because
Yeah.
everything came down and it's coming down, and I lost my tools, I everything. I have to rebuild, and I have to buy new tools, and I have to. I think it starts from even from less than zero because you have to take the building apart, you have
Yeah.
to reconstruct, and you have to gain the right momentum again. And that's what I'm struggling every day is a struggle. Even though it's raining, I wake up from bed, and I think that people are worse. My wife she's Ukrainian, so I believe there are kids that are struggling so much more than I in Ukraine because of the war. So we have to keep going, and it's life. It's part of life.
It's
In the
perspective,
end, in a
isn't it?
few years, it will be a story from Ferox as well, and I owe that to the community as well. I have to keep doing surfboards, and
Yeah.
I owe
So
that to my riders. And uh, I was thinking about reform, but
yeah, well, I was thinking
but
like the,
but
the the Firefox could be a really cool model name. Not to make light of it,
yeah.
but something like that. Because Ferox in the
Yeah,
translation
there are many
Portuguese.
people telling, "Yeah, you have to come back, and you were gonna call now Phoenix Ferox,
Yeah,
something like that." And
yeah. Look, I mean,
but
I
yeah,
understand. I'm hearing what you're saying. Like, it's always someone's worst event in their life is the worst event in their life. And it is a perspective, and
well, I'm not
sometimes.
sure. I'm not sure it's my worst event of the life. I
Okay,
think
yeah,
at least it's not else. I'm healthy, so I have energy. You never know if it's the worst one. It might take you even down than this. So
yeah,
you have to be prepared. So I'm always preparing myself for the worst. And I don't know if you surfed Nazaré. I did with Alex Boutet, and you don't prepare for you don't go to Nazaré to surf just waiting for everything to run well. You have to be prepared for everything that's going to run badly.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's the right mindset. And I mean, you have to keep going. You have to keep fighting. You have to keep the momentum and everything. So
It's exactly.
I owe that to the community. And with all this ground funding and everything that's trying to happen, there are people crying, calling me, crying because the factory used to be like the place where they come and they felt that they were in a chocolate factory, or they were like feeling so well. And I always had that approach where people would come by and see the process, and you would have a couch, you could stay all day if you wanted to, and people loved to come to the factory because they felt it was a very very peaceful place to be.
Mm,
And that was also so that I wanted to create. I didn't want to create those factories where you go and you have the sign say all this stuff can enter, or
yeah.
not allowed for strange people to go. No, it was an open space where people could see the processes, and they
Nice.
could see their boards being built, and they could stick around and check the boards from other people. Of
So
course, I don't
important.
let them mess around too much with other boards, but
Yeah. Don't
but
touch.
yeah,
Yeah.
don't touch. Yeah,
Yeah.
everyone tries to put the finger on the board someday.
It's
So
tempting. It's a good sign,
uh,
but also a worrying sign. Yeah. I mean, jeez, like it is a special place, a surfboard factory, and I appreciate like the community or coming together, and we're gonna leave a link here in the show notes to the crowdfunding. And what else can we do? I was thinking, like, out there, you're very passionate about this idea, and I'm already starting to have this feeling like I can see something new coming out of this? Like, you're talking about like you interested for
Yeah,
people
well,
to come and see and watch. So perhaps the building could sort of reflect that a little bit. And do you need architects
yeah.
to come and help you? And what?
Well, I have one today coming by, and it's gonna be
Nice,
is a friend of mine. He already offered his
brilliant.
service for me. So yeah, but it's been amazing, and it's not only Portugal. I've been called by other shapers from other countries saying, "Hey man, I have spare spare machines. I
No
can
way.
send you some spare machines so that it can work." And it's been amazing. People
Mm.
like 2 days ago, I had a lawyer calling me, "Hey, I have a spare house in Tavira. You can go there." Because sometimes people think that I lost my house, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that everyone is trying to help. I have guys calling me, "Hey, man, I don't have money. Can I go and help you to clean up?" And I'm feeling that people need to come and need to help somehow, and they want to be part of the movement. Now it's already a movement.
Yeah,
So I'm not telling people don't come. I'm just telling wait for my order because I need to make sure that everything is safe and
yeah,
secure so that you guys can come over and probably clean a rock or something, and they feel
yeah,
they are part of the brand. So
yeah,
that's something that I created. I try to create a brand that not only represents Portugal but also represents Algarve, but also represents why I think it's the best of the people.
mm,
And right now I'm getting the return from that. I'm seeing even for people I was not expecting, I'm seeing the return, and it's been mind blowing. It's so mind blowing that I'm trying to keep away from that.
yeah,
Alex is telling me, don't stress about. I know you want to be there and cleaning it up, and it's like this podcast. I'm right here waiting for the podcast to finish and still continue to
yeah,
cut twisted metal and continue working. And because right now the infrastructure is so unsafe that
mm,
even special teams they don't want to come and
no
do it.
way.
So I had to do it myself, and I'm
Wow.
doing it in a very safe way, as safe as possible. I'm using harnesses and safety equipment,
Yeah,
but it's like the game Nikado,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
where it just it's very similar but in a very dangerous way. So
Crazy.
it's
Right.
very similar to that.
Well, I mean, I can only say, like I say this to a lot of my surf athletes when they do the competitions, like when they have a loss and they feel, sometimes like in life you're gonna lose a hell of a lot more than you win. And I think it's just about what comes after that. It's how you pick yourself up and how the community and you have a greater faith in humanity around you and the strength of family and community and how that lifts you up and you're going to move forward with positivity, and it's a new beginning. It's a time of reflection, time of coming together of many people. And I
It,
think
it's gonna be yeah, it's gonna be a tough year, but in the end, it's like I'm telling you, you're gonna look back and it was a story. Of course, I lost a lot of memories. I had the first board that I ever did here that completely disappeared.
like,
I had like the Alex sports where he just when he went to Mexico and he got himself into the WSL. I had the board here as well.
mm,
Some guns from Nazaré. I had many memories here. I had Lucas Shumbo toe board here as well.
yeah,
And those boards were they disappeared completely. So the fire was so intense and so strong that everything just
yeah, surfboards burn.
disappeared.
Yeah,
The only thing that really survived the fire was a bigorna, a blacksmith. How do you call? I call it. We Portuguese call it the bigorna. So it's the place where the blacksmith just hammers the
yeah,
metal.
yeah. Yeah, I don't know what it's called
It's not a
actually. Blacksmiths.
well. That's
Yeah, I don't know actually. Hammer. No,
yeah.
I know what you
They
mean.
hammer over a metal structure, and that was the only thing that survived the fire. It was
Wow, that's
even
crazy.
even a very old furniture. I was like a alpha meter fighting the fire with the firemen, and but even a furniture that was a meter on the tip of the hose of the fireman, it completely burned away. So you can imagine the temperatures inside the factory were superior to 1,200 degrees. So
That's crazy.
even metal got twisted and blades got lost their tempera. So yeah, it was crazy
So
in
what's so
20
what
minutes.
so what are you going to talk to this architect about? What's going to be your brief to him? Because it's very exciting. I think it's very exciting.
Well,
If we can
the
get the funds raised and I think it's
okay,
got a lot of potential to be a really exciting new space.
yeah. One of the things about my factory was she was done over a factory that was for my grandfather. He used to have like a cork factory. So in Sombrage there used to be like a hundred cork factories from families.
Mhm.
So I kind of convert the cork factory into a surfboard factory, and my goal, and I had the visit of the President of the Republic a few years ago, where he gave me a mention of honor.
Wow.
So I had a plate also on the wall, and I kind of convert the factory with that old rustic look from an old cork factory into a new surfboard factory, but still that rustic look. I think I've seen some pictures of it, and you can see
Hmm.
how it looked. I had guys like Hugo Val, one of the guys from Nazaré. I remember when he had his first kid and he came first time to the factory and he was like telling his wife, "No, leave the baby on the car. This is a surfboard factory. It's very dusty, very, very dirty. Don't bring up the kid." And then as soon as he passed the first door and he called back to his wife, "No, bring the kid. There is still here toys for the kid to play, and it's
Nice.
super clean, super
Yeah.
clean." So because we also had like visits, people coming by and seeing a cork factory that was transformed into a surfboard
Okay.
factory.
Interesting.
And actually, what I'm gonna talk with the architect today is we still don't want to have that identity stuff of being an old cork factory.
Mm.
But also the guy is really good. He's a really good architect, and I'm gonna leave him on his hands. I'm gonna talk about the technical stuff, what it used to be, what could be, but I'm still not sure. It depends also. I'm gonna tell you this also. Depends on the little bit of what we are able to gather with the crowdfunding,
Hmm.
because like my main goal now is to produce surfboards. So I want to have something, and I'm struggling already. I have some factors that help me in it, so it can come in shape here, which I'm doing. I take one day of the week and I go there and shape. So I wanna start producing for my riders and for everyone. I'm still tweaking and refining that stuff to make sure that the boards are exactly as I want them to be.
Mm.
Um, and so, as you can imagine, I'm working all fronts.
Yeah.
I'm trying to do. My day is 48 hours right now,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I imagine.
so I'm working in all fronts, and I'm having a lot of new ideas. I've been having a lot of meetings with the mayor here in Sombrage, and
Great.
she was really afraid that I stopped doing stuff, and she already realized that I'm not going to stop. So that's my thing, and
Brilliant.
until
Brilliant.
I have energy, that's my goal, to keep doing
Yeah.
stuff.
There's some
And
beautiful cork materials as well that perhaps you can have on the outside,
yeah,
like a homage to the
yeah,
cork factory. Yeah, beautiful. Well,
yeah, yeah.
well,
Well,
Octavio.
actually, yesterday I visited a cork factory and I was there collecting, because even my the shaping, what we call the blocks, the shaping
Yeah,
blocks that you
yeah.
can find. The shaping
Too nice
blocks
and
is where the
soft.
sanding paper is.
Yeah.
Most you can buy them on the internet and they are made of plastic, but
Mm.
mine were made of cork. So
Yeah,
I
beautiful.
went to the cork factory and gathered some cork to remake my tools.
That's
Like I
cool.
told you, those were the special tools. So
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
remaking them.
Ah, fantastic. Nice. Yeah, I remember like 58 Surf, I think, is like on the exterior, they're covered in cork, isn't it? I think it's a nice
I think
material.
so.
Yeah, I think so,
I
if I
think
remember
so.
rightly. Well, Octavio, I'm going to let you get back to your work. I'm sure you're very busy, and I just want to say I really appreciate the time that you've taken for
No, I
to tell your
appreciate the time
story.
as well for
And
everything. And
if anybody wants to get in contact with you, and particularly with the crowdfunding, do you want to just let people know? I'll also put a direct link in the show
well,
notes that'll go out to Spotify,
well,
Amazon,
there's
and
like I told. there's a crowdfunding. I'm not very much. I haven't gone there yet. I don't know how much is there.
Yeah.
It's done by my riders
Okay.
because they know I'm not a type of guy who's asking stuff for people.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm very much grateful for what's happening, but my mindset at the moment is recovery. So I'm focusing recovering. Of course, it's super important that it's happening. That crowdfunding it's going to help me to recover faster. Like I need to go towards Lisbon to speak with a tool factory over there and try to get the most amount of tools, because some tools that I had doesn't exist, and I have to see the new tools so that I can buy them.
Yeah.
Uh, and the crowdfunding is developed by my athletes, because they know I'm not the type of guy that's gonna ask people stuff, and I very much appreciate and respect everyone and people's money, and I'm not into that. I prefer to be here on the ground zero, just cutting metal and preparing and
Yeah.
the demolition and fighting.
Yeah. And
But
making a few surfboards, when and
and
however
making
you
a few
can.
surfboards
So maybe that's a good
on
way for
Mondays.
people
Mondays.
to support you, and is to, like, if you're thinking about getting a surfboard, you have a recommendation of a surf coach, you have a recommendation of all the riders, and you're going to be helping a
Okay.
good cause, because like
Yeah.
I say it over and over and over again, people are crazy if you buy a surfboard from anywhere else apart from a shaper, and particularly with you and your style, that you can get a real feel and communication with the person. I think that's such a valuable
Yeah. Yeah.
aspect.
It's completely different. It's like going to a Chinese shop and buying a suit, and going to Alpha Yacht, and he's gonna design the suit for you.
Exactly.
It's super different.
But what's crazy is it's not as expensive. It's
Yeah.
which is even
Yeah.
it's like the reverse. You
Yeah.
get less.
I've been trying to change that for a long time, and that's why I think I got all the respect from all the brands. And I got a lot of Portuguese brands like Nico Rico calling me, and he was super surprised. Luffy calling me, and the guys were like offer me the factory so that I can work there,
Nice.
which for me is very, very good. I really appreciate that, because it means a lot to me. It means I'm a professional, and the guys respect me, and I respect them as well. And uh, I'm always available to help everyone, even
Yeah.
so. I got
It often
that.
it often takes these
that
types of
back.
horrendous events and disasters to show the most
the best
amazing
of us.
sides
Yeah.
of humanity. So anyway, man.
Yeah.
I super appreciate it.
Okay,
And,
Justin.
let's go.
Me
Strength. Let's go. Strength and honor.
Let's go.
Looking forward to
That's
seeing
it.
what happens and following your
That's it.
story. All right, man. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for everything.
Thank you. Bye-bye, Justin.
Thank you. This is Justin West, and I'd like to say a big thank you to Octavio, and looking forward to seeing his story and the rebuild of the factory, and how his surfboards, and so appreciate the community and the wider community across the world, not just in Portugal. This is Justin West. Yeah, I'm getting a little bit emotional now, so I'm going to sign out. If you're looking to level up your surfing, I've got a couple of easy ways to get you moving forward. I'm running in-person coaching sessions here in Portugal with flexible dates. So if you're traveling through or planning a trip, we can lock in a few sessions and I can work on exactly what your surfer needs. And thanks to our collaboration with Surfrec, the AI robotic filming system now operating in Ribeira de Ilhas and Carcavelos, you can get footage of your sessions. Just send me 5 clips and I'll break down every detail for you. But even if you're not in Portugal, no problem. You can send me up to 5 waves from anywhere in the world. Surf trip in Indo, competition heats, your local surf break, even from wave pools. If you've got the footage, the film, I'm happy to analyze it. If you want to dive deeper into Surf Rec, check out Podcast Portugal episode 50 with Zé Ferreira to book surf coaching sessions, to find out more, about our immersive surf training camps, online video analysis programs, and special JWC Justin West coaching rates for using SurfRec, head to justinwestcoaching.com. Direct links are in the show notes.